This one is called Before It's Too Late. The one sharing the experience says, I never imagined that my work circumstances would force me to be in contact with the opposite sex, yani men. It's a woman now that's sharing this experience. But this, in fact, is what happened. In the beginning, I used to cover and screen myself from men by wearing the niqab, the face veil. But some of the sisters advised me that this dress was attracting more attention to my presence, and it would be better for me to take off the niqab, especially since my eyes were somewhat attractive. So I removed the cover from my face, thinking that this was better. But by continuing to mix with my colleagues, I discovered that I was the odd one out because of my antisocial attitude. Sister, she's trying to remain modest. She's trying to avoid mixing with the opposite gender. But then this is when they start saying, right, you're so antisocial, you're always killing the mood. When you're not engaging in what everyone else is doing. You're always killing the vibe, the mood. So I discovered that I was the odd one out because of my antisocial attitude. And my insistence on not joining in the conversations that was happening between them and me chatting with others. Everyone was wary of this lone wolf. That's how they saw me. And this is what was stated clearly by one person who affirmed that he would not want to deal with such a snooty and standoffish character. I don't even know what that means. But I think you guys get the gist, right? Some big words being used here. But I knew that I was the opposite, in fact, and I decided that I would not oppress myself and put myself in a difficult position with my colleagues. So I started to join in their chats and exchanges of anecdotes, and they all discovered that I could speak eloquently and persuasively, and that I could influence others. I could also speak in a manner that was determined, yet at the same time was attractive to some of my colleagues. Can you see how everything we mentioned earlier is actually now what? Coming into? It was not long before I noticed some changes in my expression of my direct supervisor. With some embarrassment, he was enjoying the way I spoke and moved. And he would deliberately bring up topics in the conversations where I would see that hateful look in his eyes. I do not deny the fact that I started to entertain some thoughts about this man. I found it astonishing that a man could fall so easily into the trap of a woman who was religiously committed. So how must it be the case of a woman who adorns herself and invites men to take part in immoral acts? In fact, I did not think of him in any way which went beyond the bounds of Sharia, but he did occupy a space in my thoughts for quite some time. But soon my self-respect made me reject the idea of being a source of enjoyment for this man in any way, shape or form. Even if it was only psychological in nature, and I stopped getting involved in any kind of work that would force me to sit alone with him. In the end, I reached the following conclusions. Number one, she says, attraction between sexes can occur in any circumstance, no matter how much men and women may deny that. The attraction may start within the bounds of Sharia, and they end up going beyond those bounds. Even if a person protects himself by marriage, he is not safe from the snares of the shaitan. Even though a person may be able to guarantee himself and he works with the opposite sex with reasonable limits, he cannot guarantee the feelings of the other party. Finally, there is nothing good in mixing, and it does not bear fruits as they claim. On the contrary, it corrupts sound thinking. What now, we may ask, what comes next after discussion on the matter of mixing?